The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
Welcome back to another great week on The Brandon Peters Show. Our film today is the 2010 comic book turn movie, The Losers. And joining me for that conversation, quite the opposite of a loser, from the Kinda Nerdy Girls podcast, Pet Pals TV, and the brand new Paranormal X Road TV show, KJ.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Brandon. It's been a long time coming.
It actually has been a long time coming. I've asked you a couple of times and it didn't work out. But in your defense, they were last minute, hey, you want to come up to the plate now? And it just, for one reason or another, didn't work.
It's the podcast world, man. You can plan and plan and plan, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Who can I get on my show right now?
It's like, oh, who likes doing this? So we'd be like, sure.
Yeah.
And in your defense, you were a sure, but the times would work up.
Exactly.
So, and you were always meant to come on this show, but I just had to, because sometimes you just kind of float with scheduling and whatnot, and it happens. And and my first few months of the show ran really smooth scheduling guests. Like everybody was a yes, everybody went in order, everybody went like this. And then one person changed their mind, maybe thought they were too big to be on my show, canceled. So then it was a rush since, but it's been going good. Pretty good.
I always tell people, like, be nice to your podcasting friends, man. Mm-hmm. You don't have any idea how much work it actually is to do a podcast.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it is. It's insane. Like some people do ask me, like, usually it's colleague people that are like, how the hell do you do all what you're doing? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't sleep when you're we're scrolling on Twitter and stuff. I'm probably doing something productive.
Right. Yep. I'm producing it. I'm editing it. I'm finding a clip so I can promote it. I'm putting it on social media. I am living the podcast life.
Social media, that is the one that takes up the time. Like I get social media manager now. I used to be what is that?
Yep.
Oh, it's a lot. It is, it's a lot. That's why people hire people. But in the podcast world, you have been with the Kinda Nerdy Girls podcast for how long has it been now?
Oh my gosh. It's been, so the new incarnation has been 2 years. We actually
that's right. Yeah.
We had 300 episodes. I'm sorry. We had 299 episodes done as the Kinda Nerdy News when my career took a different turn and I found out that I didn't own those episodes. Make sure that you own your podcast.
Right.
But it's okay. It turned out great. And it was a true test of, like, do we really love doing it? Because when it was, me and my co-hosts and we went to work together every day, it was real easy to be like, hey, come on in here and let's do a podcast quick. When we had to arrange schedules around 3 different jobs and come to each other's houses, and it really tested us. Do we love this and do we want to do it? And, 140 episodes in now and we're still at it.
There you go. That's great. That's great. And just a small pivot on the name,
And I actually, Brandon, was doing that. I was in the process of rebranding it anyway, because we weren't at the point where we were producing enough episodes to really be news. Like I wanted to rebrand it to where it was more a conversation and less like, you're tuning in for news. And what you're hearing right now was news 4 weeks ago, because that's how long it took me to get the episode up. So it's, we put out weekly episodes. So we're always talking about the topical things, but shifting to the Kinda Nerdy Girls from Kinda Nerdy News, I think made me feel a little bit better about, what we were presenting to people.
It kind of opens the umbrella a little more to not just news. Oh, they talked about something that wasn't news today.
Yep, exactly. That's not news.
Right.
Well, and the other thing, Brandon, and from PopCon, I discovered when I started doing the podcast marathons, Like, man, I'm the only chick here.
There are a lot of dudes in podcasting.
There are a lot of dudes in podcasting. So I was like, if we're going to stand out, like, let's at least point out that we're like some girls doing this. So here we are. We're the girls doing the kind of nerdy thing.
I'll tell you, I've said this a lot. Like, white guys with movie nerd opinions in podcasting will jump out of the woodwork if they just hear something that sounds like a little offer. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm like, yep, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It is. Yeah.
It is. But yeah, kind of girls, and I mean, PopCon. There are some. There's the Five-ish fangirls. That's another female centric.
Yeah, Rachel is a good friend in the podcasting world.
Kind of nerdy girls, like you go. I mean, you kind of used to get together, right? You used to do it in person before.
We did. Yeah, oh man. It was like we were riding this curve, Brandon. Things were like the momentum was hitting. We were doing our kind of nerdy night out events. We were at Studio Movie Grill taking people to movies once a month. And we had just started with the Vogue doing gaming nights on Wednesday nights on the big screen at the Vogue. And it was like we were so close, like, maybe like this will become our job, right? Like, have we made it to where like we're going to be the show that gets to quit our jobs and just be a show, like, Crime Junkies? And then, pandemic hit and we couldn't do any appearances. And
you did a couple of drive-in events, right?
We did. We did a kind of nerdy night out at the drive-in with Heartland Film Festival. Okay. They were showing a movie called Stunt Women. And honestly, if you haven't seen it, it's a fantastic documentary. And the filmmaker, April Wright, actually got to go on the set of like Wonder Woman and Marvel and watch how these stunt women would stand in for, the actresses that we think are kicking ass. Right. And it was a really, really cool movie. So we were honored to be the presenting partner for Stunt Women. And then the Halloween weekend with Circle City Ghostbusters, they showed Ghostbusters at the drive-in and we helped with that. So it was fun to get back to the drive-in.
Kept it alive a little bit, but just
a little. And I feel like we're getting there. If I don't get to see Black Widow in a theater, I'm going to lose my shit. Is it okay if I say it?
No, you can, yeah.
I don't typically swear a lot on podcasts, but I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I've been waiting my whole life for this movie. Yeah. I didn't need to wait through a pandemic too.
Right. July 9th. It seems like it's far enough away that this could happen.
Right. It's possible.
Or you'll rent out the damn theater.
Have you done any of the like rent out a theater and just like go watch it yourself?
So I got lucky. So back in I believe it was the first weekend of December or something like that. So I hadn't seen Tenet. I wanted to see Tenet so bad, but I'm like, I'm not going to theater. Right. Not going to theater. Friend of mine, and I've told that my listeners have heard this story, but damn it, I'll tell it again. So it's coming on like 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray in like 2 weeks. Friend of mine's like, hey, so I'm renting out a theater. Renting out the IMAX downtown, the White River, the real IMAX. Nice. Rent it out. I'm only inviting 10 people. You're one of them. Can you come? And I'm like, well, how much? And he said, it was like $25. You get a soda and a popcorn and the movie, whatever. But I'm like, and it was 10 people because that's how many he wanted to keep it to. And it ended up being 9. But so I told my wife, I'm like, this is safe as hell, right? Like, and it was at like 8:00 at night. And we went and it was like 9 of us masked, the theater people working, 2 of them, only 2. There's the projection guy and the guy with the concessions. And you took the concessions, he put one on a table, one person went up, got it, walked out. One on a table, and everybody got their own row scattered. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I got the buzzer, I got to see Tenet as it was intended on the IMAX screen. I guess I probably liked it more than some people because it was just a whole thing, but felt really awesome to be back in a movie theater again. But
I bet.
So I have.
You're like, man, I always want it. Right? You're like, I always want to go to movies with 9 people and nobody else in the building.
That's why I've been a early morning moviegoer on the weekends for years now, because I go by myself a lot, because sometimes I don't want baggage with it. Like, I don't want to be like, well, should we go out to lunch now, or should we meet for lunch too, or are we now hang out? I'm like, I'm gonna go to the movie and I got shit to do. I don't know. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So I'll go, and then the early mornings, low price, easy seats, and boom. Unless it's the Keystone Arts Cinema. I have empty theaters there a lot, but the old people like to sit next to me no matter how empty the theater is. They will come and sit, the seniors. And I had this problem, so I'll get there early and I'll pick a seat that is my second choice. And then I do that, I'll like get up to go to the bathroom, come back and take the seats as my choice. But it's a weird thing I have, an aura, but the seniors like to sit next to me by myself at the theater. At the Keystone Arts Cinema, they...
That's so funny.
I'll like send a picture of my wife, like, look, Gladys and Marlon are here. Wanted to sit by me, so...
Oh man, yeah, I'm excited to get back, and even if I have to like do the rent a theater thing for Black Widow, I'm just... Let
me know. I'll be winning tickets. I'll go.
Yeah.
If you're gonna rent it.
I've heard that maybe by then they won't be like, hey, we're basically giving theaters away if you'll come in. But I heard the same thing. I had a friend who did their daughter's birthday party, and it was like Jurassic World. It wasn't a new movie or anything, but it was like $200. It was, they got to have, and this was a little more recently. I think they got to have 15 people with them. Gotcha. It was like, it was cheaper to do that than it was when we used to go to the movies packed.
Oh.
They broke up how much it would cost. They're like, it's the cheapest birthday party we've ever thrown for our
Do they give them a big screen though? Or is it like, because I know AMC in Castleton has those little teeny suckers right around the corner. I'm like, is that the ones they use for that? No.
They got a whole theater.
Oh, wow.
They ordered all the food ahead of time. They didn't have to, it was no contact. They didn't have to deal with anybody. Yeah, they were really, really excited about it. I was like, wow, for a couple $100, man, if we can do that with Black Widow, I'll just do that just to not have anybody in my theater.
There you go. Yeah, your private screening of that's. I saw Hereditary that way. It was a private screening. I was at the Glendale Theater. I don't know what, I was like an afternoon. I was like, I gotta get it in right now, and by myself. I was like, yes, this is awesome.
Yeah, I think the Glendale Theater, you can do that. I saw Serenity, my third time seeing Serenity.
Yeah, not a good theater, but sometimes the time works out better. And I'm like, well, all right, we're doing this.
Yep, exactly.
It's been a movie from kind of goes. The other things you got on you, Paranormal X Road, which I believe is pretty close to brand new. Like it's been a
Yes. So it's Paranormal Crossroad.
Crossroad.
It's all right. It's a big X. So if you get like it,
I read it literally.
Yeah, I know. I knew. I came into the show a little bit later and it was already done. And I'm like, oh, the amount of times I'm going to have to say it's cross, not X. But
add another one. Another one. Paranormal Crossroad.
Yeah, okay. So my friend Kitsy Duncan, she has been in the paranormal world for some time now, and she has a show on Amazon Prime called Oddity Files that has gone 3 seasons, investigated all over the world, even Australia. Like she's been to all the cool places that are considered the haunted places on your bucket list. And she was wanting to do something a little different, but obviously the pandemic stopped them from making any new shows anyway. And so I am actually the subject of the first episode because she was in my bubble, and it just so happened that I had a touch lamp that started going on and off. And I'm like, well, if you want to do some investigating, I got a lamp that won't leave me alone. So that was where it started. And she's just, she's had this knack for getting evidence that nobody else has. And I was really amazed by what she did. And then the episode went up and it kind of went crazy. And she was like, I think this is my new show. Like she just kind of put it up there because it was something she could make in the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I loved doing it. Did you like doing it? And I was like, yeah, I love doing it. I'm not a paranormal investigator, but I'm happy to go along for the ride and learn and, offer whatever I think I'm hearing. So we have 3 episodes out, and we just investigated the Athenaeum here in Indianapolis, the building where the Rathskeller is downtown.
Okay.
Beautiful buildings. The theater upstairs is incredible. And fellow nerd Craig Mintz, who's a huge Star Wars fan, he actually was at the IMAX for a very long time and moved over to get the theater at the Athenaeum going, so that people get used to going back to it. So that will be coming back. But we did our own investigation, and now we're bringing the public with us to do a public ghost hunt coming up this weekend. So I've gotten sucked into the paranormal world, and it's a lot of fun. It's it's being nice to ghosts, which is not a show that's really out there. So we don't yell at them and tell them they're demons and they're evil and show themselves. We're like, hey, do you need something?
What's up?
Are you okay? What's up? Can we help you?
You're smashing plates. Do you need us to make you one, like a meal, something like that? Is that a mess?
Right. And I've come to the realization of, if it was the other way around, I'd be pretty crappy with people living in my space and not acknowledging me and having no respect for the fact that I was there. I'd probably start throwing stuff too.
Right. And cool thing, like you said, that first episode, so you have your origin story too for being on the series. So it's
yeah, it was cool stuff. I mean, my I didn't know what to expect, and then all of a sudden she's telling me things, and I'm like, that is my grandmother, and she's like out in the other room, and she's like, I hear this name, and I'm like, that's my dad. Like, what is happening? So yeah, I mean, I've never, people are always like, do you believe in that stuff? I've never had any issue with it. I've always, experienced things here and there. And I think it's just whatever you're open to or whatever you're tuned into. And so I'm like, well, let's go along, because what happened at my house and what it did for me and my family, I would like to do for other people. I would like to give them some peace if I can do that.
Yeah, I always intrigued by the paranormal and interesting stuff. I don't think you have to even because I think a lot of people put it with religion, but I don't think it has to be paranormal and religion. I don't think go together as much as people like to say. People, I can see religious people taking a connotation of it, but I mean, I think you could be an atheist and still believe in something paranormal as well. I think it's
for me, it's always been very, I don't know. It's always just made sense to me, because I actually am a really logical person. I don't know if you believe that, but I my brain works from a place of logic. And for me, it was always we learned in science class, there's mass and there's energy, and it's the same amount all the time. It's just one turns into the other and the other one turns back. So when all the stuff that you're seeing that's mass, eventually it's energy again. So why wouldn't there be a way to communicate with that energy? Why wouldn't you be able to tune into that? Just like we trust our phones to send a signal, and then magically someone appears on the other end, and we get to be on the internet and do all the things. We don't see that either.
Right. No, exactly.
So yeah, I'm pretty good with it. I think coming from a place of more on the scientific side of things, that just helps me a little bit more when we're, getting evidence, if you will. Is it evidence? What?
Getting evidence, not planting. Getting. We gotta be clear.
Yeah, I don't even know how to do any of this, so I can't plan anything.
Right. No, excellent. And that's available where to watch?
It is on YouTube right now. It's on the Oddity Files channel, but we've created its own channel. So you can go to pxroad.com and you'll see all the...
In that case, it is an X.
It is.
It is an X.
It is an X. Well, paranormalxroad.com will get you there too, but that's just a lot to say. Just pxroad.com.
Or KJ Ghosts in Google.
Oh, Man,
I don't know if that'll
Brandon, I'm going to go look for that and see if it's available. I'm like the queen of owning domains I don't need.
You and Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes. Yeah. So our buddy Brad, I think he's still got more than I do, but I'm catching up with them. I just bought a couple more today.
The CIA's most elite just became.
The losers know too much. Kill them.
Their most wanted.
That's not like foreboding at all.
Want your life back? You're gonna have to steal it.
We are waging a war against the CIA.
That sounds fun.
She is volatile.
Are you sure you've done this before?
Right now, not the time.
The Losers, April 23rd.
The Losers. It's directed by Sylvain White and written by Peter Berg. Yes, that Peter Berg. James Vanderbilt, based on the comic book by Andy Diggle and Jock. And stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Zoe Saldana, Chris Evans, Idris Elba, Columbus Short, Oscar Hanada, Holt McElhaney, and Jason Patrick. Features a CIA Special Forces team that are betrayed and left for dead by their superiors, galvanizing them to mount an offensive on the CIA. As always with the show, KJ, why bring the Losers? I know you polled people for a bunch of movies, and I was like, we're doing the Losers, but why would that be one of you?
Yeah, I did. Brandon wanted me to pick one myself, and I'm like, oh, God, that's too much pressure. So I asked our kind of nerdy network, like, what movies do you think of when you think of me? And the Losers kind of fits into a lot of the categories of what I look for in a movie. I'm not going to lie. Number one, it has Chris Evans, and pretty much anything that Chris Evans does, I watch. So I was in right there. Like I said, it's a comic turn movie, which I think is fantastic. That cast is just incredible. It's, it was one of those things where you look at it and you're like, wait a second, like all of these people are in this movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jason Patrick, I love that guy from The Lost Boys. Like, where's he been all my life? Like, he's in this movie. I enjoyed the fact going into it that I knew with that kind of cast and who was making it and where it came from with the comics, that it would be a movie that I would enjoy. I didn't think I would enjoy it so much. It's not necessarily along the lines of comics that I'm into. I'm sort of a straight up Marvel girl. I read some Batman growing up and things like that. This was a little out of my comfort zone, but I was like, well, it's still comic book and that's my jam. So let's do this. And then that opening sequence, like how cool, like it just, it opened up and you're like, okay, these are great guys. It like jumped right into it. It established the characters really well, really fast. And then you're like, did they just kill all of those children?
Yeah. When I first did this review, I hadn't seen it in so long. And I was like, wait, did they kill and I went back. I was like, oh yeah, they did board the children. I was like, they didn't kill all the children. They killed all the children.
All the children. And if you haven't seen the movie, these guys didn't, but they were set up. And they should have been in the chopper that blew up, but they were doing the right thing in saving these children and didn't realize that chopper was going to blow up. And so, immediately you're like, what kind of movie is that?
Yeah, well, it's like, and it's kind of, it's a big, lighthearted. It quickly establishes like stakes. It plays it against the clock scenario to introduce you to all these guys with each other, how they are in the field, and how they are as human beings. So we get to see they're nice guys, but they'll kill people if they're paid enough. And it really, there's a mix of like, it's a weird mix that Sylvain White does of, he's got some of that wannabe Paul Greengrass cinematography mixed with video game camera moves and then some 70s touches in there too. I don't think his directing the rest of the movie is ever as interesting as it is right here at the beginning. Like there's a lot of promise, and then it goes to like Sylvain White. He'll go on to like before this he did like the Casey and JoJo music video for Crazy and
I did not know that.
and Stomp the Yard. And then he went on to direct like CSI Miami, which just feels like an audition reel for almost in a lot of it.
Yeah.
But he does like a lot of TV, like The Rookie, The Mentalist, Person of Interest, Empire, Hawaii 5-0. Like, he's on the CBS contract apparently. But he also has done prestige like The Americans and Fargo. And his next movie, he didn't direct another movie after this till Slender Man.
Oh, wow.
But like, there's a lot of promise in the opening, and then he kind of like settles in. Like, he feels like really hungry, and I don't know the production order when this was shot, but it feels hungrier here. Not that the rest of the movie's subpar, but I think because he's got this limited palette and he has to introduce really fast, that he's really goes for a lot of things in the movie.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that. It was CIA, Special Forces, all those things, but it had sort of this.
It's the A-team formula, basically, is what they have. Yeah,
it's the A-team, but it was like the A-team I wish we'd had in the A-team. And I liked that the style was, it was like a little bit sexy,
Yeah.
It was grittier. But just that every single one of those characters had different things on the line, different things that they cared about, and you always understood where they were coming from. I mean, even Roke is like, you're like, man, I'm so mad at you, but I get it. Like, you
dual alphas,
Yeah. And they were all doing the right thing. They were serving their country. They were, decent guys and doing what they were supposed to do. And then they're put in this situation where they have to do bad things to prove that they don't do bad things.
Right, yeah.
What kind of person do you become when that happens? And I really sort of enjoyed how much depth they put into the characters with this movie. It's just fun. And like I said, it had some really good surprises, and I thought the cast all really brought it. And I enjoyed Chris Evans in particular.
This was a good one for him. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a little more, what's interesting, it's a little more along the lines of who he is. Like he's, if what you know of Chris Evans is Captain America, I mean, he is as, good and cares about this country. It is like all of those things, but he's funny. He's a jokester. Like we've worked several shows with him. One of the other things that I do, and before we shut down, I did it a lot, was I worked with Celeb Photo Ops, which gets contracted out to Comic Cons all over the world, and worked with Chris Evans many times, and was really, you have expectations. You try not to, but you kind of have expectations of what they're going to be like because you've seen them on screen. And you're like, that guy's kind of a goofball.
Right.
It's awesome.
He's goofy with muscles. It's awesome.
Yeah. So in this movie, I felt like he was really having some fun that he didn't get to have as Captain America. And I just really enjoyed seeing that. And now I think looking back on that and all of the different roles he's been in, we see that he's got that range, that he's not just Captain America.
Right. And I think this 2010 was when this came out, and this was a big year for him because this was also Scott Pilgrim, where, he's a sporting role in this, and he's a kind of a bigger cameo-ish in Scott Pilgrim, but it's like it's kind of Chris Evans like he's never been let to be before, because up to this he was always like a head honcho guy, or trying to be this like lead, and I think he excels. I think he loves playing like these little quirky supporting characters with big ensembles. I think that's where he feels comfortable being, because like immediately after his turn in, Avengers, he's doing Knives Out, and look where he's at there. He's right back into one of these roles, like, because this is just, I mean, Captain America is like a year away after this one, so that's kind of where I think he likes to lie in, and I think it helped that he got these before, because I mean, he was a good leading man, but I think it groomed him to loosen up for a couple movies and then go back to it to be this nail it as Steve Rogers, like just like I think his in the first Avenger, I think is one of the best like person playing superhero in a superhero films that we like. I mean, everybody loves Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, but what Chris Evans is pulling off in Captain America is wholly different than letting Robert Downey Jr. be Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Because at the time nobody was watching a lot of Robert Downey Jr. movies, so it took them by surprise when it's like, no, he's always like that. He's great. But Chris Evans, Captain America, what he pulls off there is just
Oh, and I was, I was nervous when they first cast him. Captain America was my hero my entire life growing up. Like these, if you're watching this, these people behind me, Captain America, and Black Widow, they were my people. That Captain America, comic books and things like that. I just, for whatever reason, as a kid, that was who I connected with. And so when I found out that they had cast him, and I'm like, Johnny Storm?
It's weird because it's like, right? At the time, now you can do whatever, but at the time that was big because there wasn't a lot of people that could do the crossover. If you were an iconic character, you did that and then you got done, but now all you do is jump into comic book characters and stuff. Yeah. I mean, like anybody was going to be better than Red Brown from the 70s of Captain America, but
but yeah, it was. So I had, I was nervous about it because it was such an important character for me. And I think, no matter.
He was too. He didn't want to do it. They asked him multiple times. So.
Right. He was like, nope, not interested in that. Nope. I'm so glad that he decided to take the role. And, looking back, going, why I know why I was nervous because I didn't know as much about him as an actor. And again, Johnny Storm was a far cry from Captain America. And please don't play Captain America.
Well, and those roles made him seem like this bro-ish, dickish dude when he's like probably, unfair. Like it looked like he was having too much fun being a bro-ish, dickish dude that he might be a bro-ish, dickish dude. Right. But this one in Scott Pilgrim made you go, oh, okay, he's kind of fun, isn't he? He's kind of fun. Like he knows he's playing, like in Scott Pilgrim, he's playing like a riff on his type that he was playing before. He's like, oh, he knows what's up. Okay.
Yes. And it's, I think when you have a character that you love, as much as I love Captain America, it was the gratitude that I have for what he brought to that character, to play it in a way that I can, go back and watch those movies over and over. And everything that I loved about Captain America as a kid, he represented so well. It's like you just, I have so much appreciation for what he did because it's allowing me as an adult to enjoy Captain America.
Right. Yeah, he's great. And I'm really excited to see what he does. After putting this post Marvel, like we know he has ambitions to direct more, and seeing him do ensembles again, like Knives Out, but like right shortly after Captain America, he had Snowpiercer, which was excellent, and that was a work for it. And
did you see Defending Jacob? Did you see that?
No,
series?
I didn't see.
Oh my God, dude, it will it will haunt you forever.
Okay,
I still spend like times where I'll be like, I still don't know what really happened. Like it's a case that you constantly think that you are figuring out and you're not. And he's dealing with his son's on trial for murder, and he's a lawyer. And so like, he knows how this works. And then he's like questioning himself sometimes, like, crap, maybe my kid's a murderer. I mean, it was intense. And it had a great resolve in that it ended in a way that it gave you an ending, but they're never going to give you any more. And you're still not entirely sure.
Nice ambiguity. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a conversation starter.
Entirely sure okay, that's how you ended it. But is that the truth? Did that really go down like that? I would highly recommend it. It's a really, really cool series.
I will check it out. Yeah. But yeah, he's back to the losers.
Oh yes,
as we salivate over Chris Evans. But like he does.
I have a tendency to get people to just go on and on about Chris.
All
Evans.
Good. I mean, he's got the best written role in the film, and he kills it. I think the film, like, we mentioned the A-Team formula, and it's got a lot of stuff you've seen before. I think the direction's fine and stuff, but I think this is one where it's up to who they cast and how that cast works to make this movie rise above.
Yes.
And they do. I mean, it's funny though, you got a lot of people at the time, well, you got a lot of people who would be synonymous with a lot of comic book characters and people that are in, I mean, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's, been a Jonah Hex, he's been, the comedian in Watchmen, he was in Batman v Superman, as our favorites to watch die in cinema, the Waynes. Just can't wait to watch him die again in the Batman. You know, some Warner exec's going to force Matt Reeves to do that.
Yep.
Gotta have them Waynes die. Just got like it's almost comedic at the end of Joker when that happens. It's like, oh my God, we're really doing this. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. The Waynes must be seen die. Get the pearls. Get the pearls. Like, oh, come on. But yeah, so then there's Zoe Saldana. This is pre-Guardians, but she was probably like, oh, we got Uhura from Star Trek in this movie. And
well, it's like, what can she, like, she's just so incredible. Like, and like you said, and, you know, crossing over, I don't think, you know, 20 years ago, we wouldn't have imagined that the same actress could be in Star Trek and Marvel and even this as a comic. And she's just, she's not just herself in these roles. Like she embraces every single role. She has that great range.
And she's very good physically too. Like she is very much an action star. And I like when they utilize it. She had that movie in that great Columbiana, but I mean, she really can hold her own in a movie. And I think she should be a name on a poster star in her own right. But you know, kind of, we live in a weird era where that doesn't sell enough nowadays. Yeah. Unless you're certain people. But I'd love to see that return. But you know, you never know. But yeah, she's good. Yeah, Idris Elba. He's also they'd worked together in Star Trek down the road, but yeah, he's you know been in lots of comic book and property things. And the funny thing is, if you made this movie now, you would totally swap Jeffrey Dean Morgan and him roles. Like Idris would be the hero, and you'd have Jeffrey Dean Morgan be the guy who turns on everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. And when you look at this, you know, it's not a well-known comic. It was kind of weird that they were like, we're going to make a movie out of the Losers. But
I think at the time, like people, Dark Castle produced this, so I think this was like a comic book property they could afford to like do. And at this time, this was kind of time where they were like not going straight superhero. They were doing these offshoot story, like there was Watchmen comics, there was all sorts of things. And then I think The Walking Dead came, and then those comics started pouring into TV. Yeah, I think is what kind of maybe happened with that. But this was, you know, like a weird. It wasn't so weird maybe back in 2010, or we were getting to the end of it, but there was a lot like Sin City was getting made.
Oh, yeah.
These non-superhero ones were, and I think smaller studios could afford movie rights to those. I think that may be why we got like The Losers.
Well, and how lucky are they? There's no way they could afford this cast now.
No.
I mean, they got everybody right at just the right time in their career.
There were people we'd all like, we were either rooting for, had seen in a couple things, and then next decade, not available.
Yeah.
Not available. Well, we'd have to see others.
It didn't get a lot of it didn't get a lot of attention.
No, it bombed. Like so it's kind of funny. I love box office history. And so it opened at number 4 back in April of 2010. It was in June, and then all of a sudden they decided to pull it back on up to April. And it was the number 1 movie that weekend was the second week of How to Train Your Dragon, and the debut of The Backup Plan. Do you remember what The Backup Plan was?
Nope. It's a rom-com.
It was a J-Lo and Alex O'Loughlin.
Oh God.
Who CBS also loves romantic comedy. And then week 3 of Date Night was the Steve Carell, Tina Fey. That was the top 4. And then one spot after this was the second weekend of Kick-Ass, which also didn't do very well, but didn't cost as much money. But that was your box office top 6 right there.
Ouch.
But it had middle, like mixed reviews, so it's kind of like most of them that weren't impressed were just kind of like, well, here's another gang of people action movie. Like that's kind of, it wasn't like negative, it was more tired than it was like this is a bad movie from checking out the reviews from the age. But then the positive reviews weren't like glowingly positive either, so it was just definitely a middle of the road. But I feel like this is that perfect like made for like running it all the time on TNT down the road movies. And one that you like it doesn't matter where you jump in, you're fine, and you watch to the end. Like if you've seen it, you haven't seen it, but it works fine. It's fun. I mean, I don't think it's a bad movie at all.
I think I watched it after we had settled on like, okay, so a few people picked out the losers, so we're going to do this, and I put it on a couple days ago, and again I was like, God, every time the freaking chopper blows up with all those children in it, I'm just like, I can't with this.
It's a bad move. Well, it's a bold move, but it establishes that we'll kill a chopper full of children in this movie, so any of your main characters might die.
Right. You're like, you don't know what's going to happen here. The stakes are high. And, but I put it on, and, I was making lunch and things like that. I'm like, it is one of those movies that I wouldn't tell people, like, you're going to watch this movie over and over and over. It's going to go in your top 3 immediately. But if you haven't seen it, it's a fun watch, and
there's good sequence. There's the heist sequences. You got little different scenarios where the Don't Stop Believing, which is just like a Chris Evans, like just go to town, dude.
Yeah.
You've got that. You got, if you like explosions and hearing gunshots, you don't get to see a lot of people get bloody and shot up. They should have just not bulked and made this R. Like this is. Yeah. But this was during the time where like everything must be PG-13.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. But Jason Patrick plays that villain. He's just so weird and uncomfortable.
And he looks like the lead singer from Train. Like, yes. I don't know why I thought that. I was like, wait, no, that is Jason Patrick. But when they revealed him, I'm like, they had the guy from Train. No, that's Jason Patrick.
From Train? Yeah. is the bad guy. Wow. But yeah, it's a fun watch. It's like Sunday afternoon. I got nothing to do. Kick back, and once you get past the helicopter of children dying, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it gets your attention right away, and you just kind of let it do its thing throughout. And it's not a movie that's going to change your life, but it's a nice aside. Like if you're on a streaming service and it's like new edition, The Losers.
Do it.
Haven't seen it. Watch it. It's got like, I have to say the end, not the end battle, but the one where Idris Elba gets it, just over the top, just action amusement for me, because it like, what's his name? McCallie or whatever. Mm-hmm. The actor's name. He's on Mindhunter and the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League. Now he didn't make the Snyder cut. He didn't make the Snyder cut. He's in the Joss Whedon cut. And he gives a horrible performance. Like I feel bad for him, like that they put that on film. So they like
I've blocked out most of. Well, honestly, both cuts are. The Snyder cut was better. That's a whole other conversation, though. There's no way to just lightly go into the subject of the Justice League.
But so he thinks Idris Elba's trying to take off with this plane of money.
Mm-hmm.
He goes after him on a bike. One of the guys shoots the bike so it blows up, and then he flies out of the bike into like the engine of the plane. That blows up. Then Idris Elba looks up, and the bike comes through the cockpit to kill him, and then it blows up, and then the plane blows up, and it's just it doesn't look as ridiculous as it sounds. But when I was putting it all together mentally, I was like, well, that was a lot. Just to kill a guy in a plane.
They really made sure they were taking him down.
Yeah, I was like, they killed him dead. Like
he's dead.
Very dead. And they obviously had franchise expectations with this. It doesn't end.
Right.
It does have two rather end credit scenes that they could have just used the soccer one. It gets both things across, the baby being bored and that. Right. But we get to see the petunias, and I want a Go Petunia shirt now.
That shirt is so fantastic.
And you can buy them. I Googled it. I'm like, okay, well, I will pick one of these up one day.
Oh, nice. I love it. Yeah, that was just that part of Jensen, of Chris Evans' character was just so endearing, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my gosh, he loves his little niece so much. He's wearing that tight little pink shirt.
Yelling at the umpire referees and
yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
It was,
good.
like I said, it's a fun watch. I would highly recommend it. Just, when you're looking for something and you just want to have fun and you're not looking for anything too deep. It's a good action flick and it's got
Good
an
cast,
incredible
yeah.
cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. What else? This is where we just talk about anything we may have read, watched, listened to, wrote, produced, something we want to plug, maybe even. So, KJ, what else?
Oh boy, what else? Well, we were pretty excited in this house about the Black Widow trailer that came out. So we are breaking that down in our latest episode. It was fun because my producer hadn't seen it yet, so I actually I made her do a reaction video basically just for me. Like, you will watch it right now and I will watch you watch it.
Can we get more tears?
Yeah.
More tears.
And I was a little bit bummed. I'm like, come on. Like, it hit me so hard, man. The moment where they, they're like, it's all led to this moment and this family. And then they show her hanging off the cliff and they're like, and don't forget, I'm dead. I'm like, yeah, I know. Damn it. It's just, I'm super excited. I'm not going to give up hope that this will somehow bring us more of ScarJo as Black Widow, because again, I feel just like Chris Evans that she has done that character in the way that it needed to be done. And I love her for that. So that's been what we've been talking about. We've been breaking down, the Loki trailer.
Oh, yeah. That looks like a lot of fun.
Listen, man, I have never been one of those people to go frame by frame.
Mm-hmm.
There is a frame in that Loki trailer, and it looks like he is sitting in the Soul Stone with Black Widow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I got Black Widow radar, so we were watching it, and I'm like, excuse me. We need to watch that again. And then my husband had the remote, and he's trying to pause it in the right spot, but the frame is so fast that he's like, nope, too far. Oh, too far back. I'm like, we will get this. And yeah.
Owen Wilson's in that. So was your reaction to that? Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's kind of... Oh.
It's interesting to see him in his silver hair, and his older gentleman look. But I'm such a Marvel girl.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up DC, but I have a lot of sad feelings about what DC has been on the big screen, in my grown up life. So Marvel. I think what the great thing about what Marvel has done is that no one would have ever expected with that first Iron Man movie. That was a gamble, and it was make or break for Marvel. Like, they were like, this is either going to work or we're selling more toys and we're going under. And to go from that to where we are, they've done a great job of making people love characters that we didn't even know, I mean, when I found out they were doing Guardians of the Galaxy, I know of most of the Marvel characters, but I was like, now they've lost their mind.
Well, yeah, I don't know the Eternals, but I'm excited because it's Chloe Zhao. That's the only thing that's got me excited for the Eternals. I'm like, I love Chloe Zhao, so that's...
Is there anything else about the next phase of Marvel that you are excited about?
Well, Sam Raimi doing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is cool. I'm always there for Spider-Man, so anything. Although I want a Kraven the Hunter, please. Kraven sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm there for these movies all the time. Everything I do get, excited for some, but I don't know. I do like some of the weirdness of DC sometimes a bit, and how they're just kind of like one movie at a time, let a person run crazy with stuff. I'm not the biggest Aquaman fan of that movie, but I really respect the bold and batshit crazy, throw everything in. We may never make an Aquaman movie again. Here it is. Cool.
Oh yeah.
And I like James Wan, so there was parts in there I liked, but so I really like that about DC. And then they go and make a R-rated Joker movie. Like, it's like, okay. So there's a weirdness to them I like a lot. Marvel's a little more safer to me with things, but I don't know. I enjoy them as everybody else. I'm there. I could, like I've said before the show, like I could criticize something, but I'm the first person buying the ticket too. Like,
right. And that's kind of the whole premise of Kind of Nerdy. And we've got the Kind of Nerdy network on Facebook, which is honestly, I was nervous creating a group because I was like, God, are people going to be mean? I'm going to have to, kick people out and shut off comments. And it is the nicest group of nerds ever.
Well, that's good. Most are. Let's be honest. Most are. Just the assholes are loud.
Right. Right. And it's always a gamble when I let somebody in. I'm like, are you going to be the one that ruins my group? Because everybody in here is really nice. Like, do not screw this up for me.
Here's a questionnaire.
Yeah.
We'll let you in if you answer it. Yeah.
Are you going to be the one that ruins it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been, we're, in building the network, it was like one, Kind of Nerdy is you can't be kind of nerdy without being kind. So that's kind of where we started. And then also like don't put too much into this to where you get mad about let's just be happy that we get lots of superhero movies and lots more Star Wars and cool things. When I was a kid, none of this was cool.
Yeah.
let's just take a step back. If the movie didn't go the way that you wanted it to, you still got a movie. Did you have 2 hours of fun? Did you have 2 hours of Batman on screen?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, right. And I'm always a weird. I'm never I guess I stand in my own weird fandom because I'll like things that challenge, break the mold, and those seems to be the things that they all No, I'm like I loved, for instance, Iron Man 3 was amazing to me, but people hate it because of the Ben Kingsley thing. I'm like, that was funny. It pulled the rug out from under me. I love that. I'm like, I don't want to know and then I was like, well, they have a white guy as the Mandarin, and then they made fun, they had play with it, and I thought that was genius. I'm like, oh wow, they really dangled through all the marketing. Everything in this movie was like, look at this, ha ha, ha ha, gotcha. I love that. I love that feeling. But there's a lot of people that want to know how it starts, want to know this, then follow it because I'm like, don't, man.
I had no idea there was so much hatred for that movie. I enjoyed it too. I thought it was hysterical that's what they decided to do with the Mandarin, and I'm constantly quoting Ben Kingsley. I'm like, I'm an actor.
Right. Yes. And I love Shane Black. I felt like they let Shane Black make a Shane Black movie. It was because not a lot of the directors in Marvel stick. It's a very studio process. That's how they do it. That's how they do it. I've said, but I was a start to finish Shane Black movie, and it featured Iron Man and Rhodey, and I was like, oh, okay, this is good stuff. I enjoyed Iron Man 3 a lot, and I know that's not a popular choice among
I know isn't it weird when you find out people I didn't know that people didn't like that movie. Is there something wrong with me? I liked that movie.
Yeah. I like to look at things as a film itself before as it is as an adaptation, because that adaptation is very hard. That's the thing. Books can't always work as movies the way they work as books. Comic books, you might find something in a story that feels better to take. It's interesting. It's a whole thing that I like him. I'll judge a film as a film first, not as was it a good Iron Man? I don't care. The movie was great.
Right.
And fits. Yeah. So it's just my weird mind. Yeah. But I don't despise anybody for liking it.
Okay.
My what else? I'm going to throw it up real quick is Succession. I finally started watching that. Which is also on HBO Max. So I'm just saying I'm not paid for by HBO Max.
Okay. So what is Succession?
Oh my gosh, it is the best thing ever. So it is from Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, but it's a drama, and it has 2 seasons right now. It's got Brian Cox, it's got Kieran Culkin.
Oh, nice.
And a lot of other people. But it's about this rich media mogul, tyrant family, in New York, and the father is planning his succession to who's going to hand the company over to and stuff like that. And there's the one son that they're all, he's going to get it or whatever, and he decides he's going to stick around for more years and piddle paddle all this stuff. And it's just a lot of backstab. Like it's really like raunchy language, stuff like that, and these despicable people. And you're like, but you just can't stop watching. It's engaging. It's suspenseful. It's hilarious. And one episode be like, I hate that fucking guy. And the next side, then like then they're like, well, I like him now. Like, I get it. Okay, I can forget. And you're constantly, but it is just well done. Just brilliant television. Like probably one of the best. It's won a drama Emmy already.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For the second season. And it floored me just how damn good it is. It's could be like Sopranos level type prestige for a while. Like it's really good.
Okay, good to know. We're between shows right now.
Okay,
so
it has uncomfortable damn moments. It's not afraid to go there, and it's And the funny thing is, like there's sex stuff in the show, but it's not like overly sexed like a lot of these like primetime dramas can like to get. And but it's there, and it's Matthew McFadden, who I like on. I liked him on. There's a British show called MI5. I think in the U.S. it was called Spooks. But it's basically kind of like Britain's answer to 24, but not on the clock or anything. Just that type of business.
Gotcha.
And he was a lead in that for a few years. I think he was in the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice, but he plays this big dopey guy who's engaged to the head guy's daughter, and he's trying to make his way in the company and stuff. And then people love this guy, Cousin Greg, that is on there that he likes to pick on. This dopey kid who winds up involved in all this stuff. But it's good. It became highly recommended. You hear great things about it, and it lives up to that. But the first episode's a lot to take in, and then it moves. So after that, but
okay. Gotcha.
I took it in faster than I would have liked, but it was like literally like one more. Some of those you rifle through just to get through them and be like, I made it to the end. I can talk about it now.
Right.
This one I don't want to do that with, but I'm like, I gotta know. I gotta watch.
Yeah. Oh, I love when you.
And it's not like it has cliffhangers either. It's just like I need more. I need to But you miss that. Like you have that like that withdrawal when one of those shows ends, and then you're like, oh, I have to give other shows a shot, and if they don't suck me in right. Like, here we are. And that's kind of where we are. The only thing we've been doing is the Marvel stuff. So gotcha.
But that's, one show a week.
I just went through. I'll probably go through Marvel soon again because I just replaced all my movies on almost done upgrading all my movies to 4K Ultra HD discs, and of course, watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then the Loki shit. Like I'm there. So, and I got to get up early in the morning or not touch my phone for the whole day.
I know, right? It's so terrible. It's like, what do we do? The WandaVision finale, we got up. Now my husband had dental surgery the day before.
Oh.
He needed some pain meds anyway. And I'm like, listen, it is 2:15 and you woke me up for pain meds. So we're just going to stay up because at 3:00, WandaVision's on.
There you go. Yeah. Boom.
You pop a couple pills. Let's do this. And that was great. Falcon and Winter Soldier is kind of like, welcome back to the MCU and
regular. Yeah.
So different. So it's like, almost like, oh, I had so much fun watching WandaVision. It's not that I don't like the MCU, but it's different to just be back here and have it feel like a movie, but we don't get the whole movie.
Right.
We get like the next part of the movie.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't think they found their footing quite yet in the episodic MCU, because WandaVision was just so naturally episodic. It was easy for them that I think with Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's like, okay, guys, this is.
I think once they get to their like She-Hulk and the ones that aren't continuations of anybody, I think they'll find something that will be different or more television like.
Yeah,
so
I'm excited for some of those like She-Hulk and Moon Knight and some of those like lesser known.
Those would be cool.
It's going to be fun.
That's what Disney Plus is for.
That's right.
All right. Well, that'll do it for today on the show. KJ, thank you so much for dropping in and talking The Losers with this loser. So it's been super fun. Let everyone know where they can keep up with all you're doing.
Yes, I have multiple shows. So Kind of Nerdy Girls is my podcast. Paranormal Crossroad is my ghosty show. I'm on Pet Pals TV. And you can find everything that I do and connect with me on the socials if you just go to kjontheair.com.
All right. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon4KUHD. Written work on whysoblue.com. The Brandon Peters Show returns. Or the Brandon Peters, there's more from the Brandon Peters Show this week. But until then, always remember to keep the positivity in your online film chatter.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.